Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to HR Leaders Worldwide Spotlight. With me is a seasoned HR leader and a fellow in people management, Mr. Ryan Barrion.
Good evening. And with us is the current Managing Director and Chief HR and Organization Development Consultant of GLB Management Consultancy and reigning Mrs. Tourism Universe 2019, Miss Giselle Legaspi-Barrion.
Thank you, partner. All right, for today, we're going to discuss about managing diversity in the workplace. So let's meet our guest, our special guest for the month for today. Here we go. All right, so we're back, partner. Our
Yeah.
topic for this Saturday is cultural diversity in the workplace. And to talk about this in
Mhm.
detail, we've invited the managing partner of Ingenium Business Solutions, which is based in Pakistan, but is now operating in Ontario, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a consultant, coach, and trainer, and one of the members also of CMC Global or Certified Management Consultants Global. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Yasir Taak.
Hi,
Hi, Yasir.
Yasir!
Hi, Giselle. Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much for inviting me. Great to be here.
Evening. Yes. Tell us, Yasir, what you do in Ingenium Business Solutions. What are the services that you provide? And tell us also the diversity in your organization.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So I'm passionate about learning and development, right? And generally learning, and not just in organizations, but at an individual level for everyone in the world, right? The idea for opening Ingenium was for it to one day shut down. That's what our vision, when we did the visioneering for the organization, that's what we said, that we have to bring humanity at a level that learning in the organization and outside, right? It becomes second nature. You don't need a consultant or a trainer or a coach to teach you or to make you learn. You should be able to do it yourself. And that's where we started, right? And that's what we're passionate about. So uh, in our day to day, we work with organizations helping uh, employees and leaders in the organization and teams in the organization to be able to learn, to become better at what they do, and get geared up for the future workforce with how
Mhm.
the business is changing more rapidly than ever,
Mhm.
right? We want the organization to take learning as a skill because you're developing skills, right,
Mhm.
through learning, but then people don't realize learning itself is a skill,
True.
right?
Agree.
So we're focusing on creating that as skill in the organization so that they take on from that point on and are able to do it by themselves. That's what primary focus of Ingenium is, right? And then we work with academia through our nonprofit wing, which is called AdLab. Right? AdLab specifically works with academia and teachers and school principals to do the
Mm.
same with them, so that we could encourage that conversation of learning right
Mhm.
at the beginning, because that's the first exposure that a child has in terms of learning. Formal learning is at school. So if the teachers understand this process, right, the gap that we have when people reach an organization, right, it is going to reduce.
Mhm.
So that need would not be in the organization, which in turns makes Ingenium obsolete and we shut down. So that's the hope here.
Mhm.
Uh, in terms of cultural diversity,
Mhm.
I can give you a simple example. Like for example, one I see cultural diversity. I see diversity as not just because at one point I saw that diversity only became about gender, then
Mhm.
diversity only became about religion, then diversity only became about uh, region. But I personally believe that you have to look diversity at an individual level, which
Mhm.
means if there are 7.5 billion people in the world, you need to look at diversity at 7.5 billion people. That's how it is. Right now, we're three people in this room, and we're very diverse. You may
Right.
say that Giselle and Ryan are from Philippines, but that's not all they are, right?
Mm.
They are much more, right? And even in your relationship, in your partnership together, you must see that difference. You must see that diversity,
Mm.
right? So I think what we do at Ingenium is that we look at diversity at that individual level, right? So we don't go into gender, we don't go into religion, we take all of it,
Mm.
right, at an individual level, and then create teams and groups that bring together the knowledge, the belief system, the experience, the education, their gender, their identity into that group,
Mm.
right, and create a sense of collaboration where the knowledge that now the group has,
Mm.
right, grows about 500% or 600% because everyone brought their individuality and their diverse background to the
Right.
table, right?
Oh,
That's how we think about cultural diversity in our organization.
Mm.
Ryan, you're able to.
Having said that, what do you think are the benefits and challenges of cultural diversity?
And if you think about benefits, cultural diversity, all it has is benefits,
Mhm.
right? Because one, when you have cultural diversity in the organization and cultural diversity at an individual level, which means you're taking everything off the individual,
Mhm.
right? And how I see it, that there is I use the model 3 A's,
Mhm.
right? In the cultural diversity process of an organization, learning cultural diversity. The first A is acknowledging,
Okay.
Mhm.
right? So you need to acknowledge that each one of us is
Mhm.
diverse,
Right.
has uniqueness in some way or the other,
Mhm.
right? And I think a lot of organizations are still struggling with that, acknowledging that diversity. Why? Because they're acknowledging diversity in these small windows,
Mhm.
right? They're accepting gender diversity, or they're accepting language diversity, or race diversity, or color diversity, right? It's in these small pockets, which is where they're missing out on the bigger picture. The person brings a lot more with them,
Mhm.
Mm.
right? So acknowledging it and then accepting it at that level,
Okay.
accepting all of it, and then starting to appreciate it in the
Mm.
organization, right? And then you start seeing benefits. Benefits is one, when people are safe
Mhm.
in their own skin, right? You've been able to create an environment where people don't fear judgment, where people don't fear failure, and they're able to do more, do a lot more when they know that I can be myself. I think that's the most crucial benefit that the organizations get. Right? So the talent actually really, really, really excels because they're not they're not worried about this judgment. They're not worried about failing. They're not worried about, oh, I'm not part of this group, right? Or this is, at times, and it happens in Pakistan a lot, for example, or this is the city group, this is the urban group, right? So the rural group is made to feel a little uncomfortable, and they stay at a distance,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So these are the challenges. Now, the challenges, when you start off, when you go through that process of acknowledging, accepting, and then appreciating, one, the knowledge is that it takes time for people to get used to it
Yes.
Mhm.
in
Agree.
the organization, because you know if you have, let's look at gender. If you only have uh, male employees, right,
Mhm.
accepting a female employee, or uh, or an employee who identifies themselves as gender neutral, is going
Mhm.
to be difficult in the beginning, right? And it's funny, I was just speaking to a friend yesterday.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
organization is still stuck into this debate, that there was a hiring manager that one of my friends was supporting in hiring talent, and he said that, oh, we want to hire a male candidate because
Mhm.
we want balance in
Mhm.
the team, the gender balance. People are still looking at diversity as gender balance. That's
Mhm.
where we are going wrong,
Mhm.
right? So the challenges are, it's going to be difficult acknowledging and accepting it,
Right.
right? So that challenge, you will have to spend time as people in culture teams, the organizational leaders will have to spend time to educate the organization at all levels
Mm.
of why it's important,
Yeah.
and
Having said
not why it's important for the organization, but why it's important for themselves.
themselves. Okay. Having said that, from Pakistan to Canada, what are unique among the culture in the organization that you have actually experienced and encountered
Mhm.
in both countries?
So this is, I have an interesting take on this, let's say,
Mhm.
right? When I was in Pakistan, I was working with organizations within Pakistan. We would work in the Middle East. We and I was once part of the firm which had business in Sri Lanka. So we used to work in Sri Lanka,
Mm.
right? And then I used to expose myself to different parts of the world, getting training myself. What I've realized is when you look at uniqueness of cultural diversity, I think looking at it at a national level is too macro,
Mm.
right? Because all organizations in Pakistan are not the same. All
Mhm.
organizations in Canada are not the same. There
Mhm.
are amazing organizations in Pakistan that have actually understood cultural diversity and have been able to accept that and create a sense of inclusiveness in the organization. And there are still organizations in Pakistan, which I just mentioned to you, which would want to hire a male employee because they want balance
Mm.
in the team, gender balance in the team. So I see organizations as organizations, and even in organizations, I would look at teams and individuals because that they reflect the the cultural diversity in pockets. Because what happens is that at times one leader understands it and is able to give this to their team, and you
Mhm.
see culture diversity in that team. But in the same organization, there is a team sitting next door, which is completely opposite,
Mhm.
right? And I think the same happens in Canada,
Mm.
right? But each one of them obviously have their uniqueness. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you what Pakistan is still a developing country. So the
Mm.
hunger for growth and ambition is much higher,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Which is the way when you work with people in the organizations, you see that ambition, and for that ambition, people are aggressive,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
They want to get things done. Um, there is a, a a prevailing culture of long hours in the
Mm.
organization. People will start early, people will stay late at work. Uh, there's still a culture of people going to the office,
Mm.
right?
Um,
Canada. It's different. It's generally evolved to understand that
Mhm.
your work is not your only life,
Right.
right?
okay.
You have different pockets, right? You have family, you have your different ambition, you have some hobby that you do, you're part of an association that you want to attend to, you volunteer for something. So they've been able to look at the life as holistic as it is, as one as it is,
Mhm.
right? So so
That.
that's why the organizational culture sort of supports that, and you're
Mhm.
not most of the time required to work long hours, right? So there's this balance
All
that
right.
exists.
Here, if I may, I'm sorry to cut you, but if I may just ask, I know that I haven't asked you this yet, I believe. And for sure, it could be a related thing to diversity or not. But what could be the inspiration behind putting up Ingenium in Ontario, Canada?
Setting it up here,
Yes.
Yes.
okay. Uh, from technical aspect, it was easier to immigrate to Canada compared to the US.
Hmm.
Mm.
That is one, right? Two, generally, when you come to Canada, and when you even listen about people, Canada was primarily people who immigrated here from all part of the world,
Mm.
Mhm.
right? So the cultural diversity that you see in Canada is absolutely amazing,
Wow.
right? As I mentioned that in Ingenium, we had a big stake into cultural diversity as an organization, and then with the organizations that we deliver to as clients,
Mm.
right? So from a passion point of view, that was one element that we wanted to be in an environment which was culturally diverse.
Mm.
These two big factors,
What are
right?
the things that you're teaching your client when it comes to becoming more culturally diverse or accepting of diversity
Mm.
in your consulting engagements with your respective partners or clients? What do you normally teach them?
So I think it all starts with doing a culture audit. So
Mm.
we do culture audits in the organization, and uh, we have a partner uh, uh, whose tool that we use, Ethical Systems, out of from New York. So we use that their tool do culture audits, and then when we do culture audits, I think what we drive most out of is the observations from the audit that help the organizations understand first of what's happening. Because most of the time, you would see because you're living in your house,
Mhm.
you don't know what's broken in your house most of the times,
Yeah.
right? Because you're so used to it,
Right.
Yes.
right? But when you have visitors, right, they might point out to something unique that you never noticed,
True.
Mm.
right? And that's what happens in culture audits. So when we do culture audits, not that we're sitting in a boardroom and speaking to management. We're walking around. We go to warehouses. We go to floor shops. We we ride in company limo services. Have conversations with the chauffeurs, right? We would sit with the guard on the main gate and speak with them, right?
Mm.
We would walk around in the cafeteria and see where the executives sit and where other staff sits, right?
Mm.
We walk into a boardroom and see if there's a head chair, because if there's a head chair, it says there is a power culture in the organization,
Mm.
right? We would walk through offices and we would see, are the office doors shut or are they open,
Mm.
Mm.
right? So, and when we take those observations to the clients, right,
Mhm.
the learning has already started. That is the
Mm.
point. They start to acknowledge of what's happening,
Mm.
right? And that's why we share what is recommended, what needs to happen
Mm.
for you to be able to get to that cycle to starting to not just be acknowledged, not acknowledging diversity, but be actually accepting it and appreciating it,
Mm.
Mm.
Now,
right? So those insights really help individuals and leaders in the organizations to really pick up on diversity and what's happening at their house.
okay. So having worked with different multicultures, yes, sir. What do you think are your key learnings?
Mm.
Oh yeah. So I think most as a leader of the organization running Ingenium,
Mm.
I've realized the organizational diversity that we've seen at Ingenium makes my life really easy. Right? As I said, when you're able to appreciate diversity and give people that sense of security of being themselves, right? The key learning is that they deliver,
Mm.
right? And the business excels. And that's what the business exists for, right? The business wants to grow. But the
Mm.
business grows when people grow,
Mm.
Yes.
right? That's my top learning from understanding and then implementing cultural diversity in my organization,
Agree.
right? And I've seen this happening with the clients as well,
Mm.
right? Working with clients on cultural initiatives,
Mhm.
clients who actually implemented the recommendations based on the facts, right, were able to deliver those results as well, and were able to create that sense of security. The retention rate of the organization, uh, went high. The turnover went really low. The employee engagement surveys would give out really good results, right? So people would stay on with the organizations, and the well-being score of the employees would grow up as well,
Mm.
right? So it helps in every elements, right? And we've actually noticed that people people who have given that sense of security at the office, at the workplace, would become a better place at home also,
Mm,
right? So it's holistic.
yes.
Mm.
Now, since you've experienced that, how do you think can individuals or employees be more adaptable since it's a multicultural?
Yeah, I think as at an individual level, I think I'm a strong believer of personal responsibility,
Mm.
Mm,
right? So at an individual level, I think most of us need to shut up,
mhm,
get outside of our heads and listen,
Mm. Right.
right? That's where it starts. And when you're listening, you know, when we look at levels of listening, in my coaching practice, I speak about three levels of listening, right? Level one is when you're listening and you're thinking, okay, I relate to that. Oh, yeah, it happened to me as well. It's all me, right?
Mm.
mm,
Level two is when you go to you, right? Okay, when you're curious about the person, okay, you tell me what happened. Okay, really? What? So what did you do then? It's about the person. So I
mm,
think at an individual level, what employees need to do, what leaders in the organization need to do is to really listen before they start sharing their opinion, before they start developing their opinions.
mm,
Listen and ask questions like, how can I support you? How can I help you?
mm,
That's do that and you'll be good.
mm.
Jasir, what could be your final message or word of inspiration to those people, employees, who are handling organization culture, particularly diversity?
Mm,
Okay. So see, um, I'm a strong believer that this world was created for a purpose. We did not just come here to
Mm.
live a couple of years and go away. There was a purpose around it, right?
mm,
And there's a reason why 7.5 billion people came on this world at the same time, right?
mm,
And all of them have diversity in different forms, like diversity of language, diversity of culture, diversity of color, diversity of region, diversity of uh, how they look,
Mm.
diversity of how their hair look, right? That's all diversity.
yes.
We all need to realize that if whoever created the world, if God created the world and created all of us,
Mm,
if He wanted all of us to look the same, He could have done that.
mm,
Mm.
It was in His power, but He decided to create this diversity because there was a reason for this diversity. And we all need to come to appreciate that
mm.
for the bigger purpose, not for ourselves, but for that bigger purpose.
Okay, thank you so much, Yasir. How can they get in touch with you, Yasir, if they wanted to reach you or Ingenium?
Yes, so I think the easiest way to get in touch with me is through my LinkedIn, right? You
Okay.
type Yasir Taak. I hopefully I'll be the first one to pop up. Yasir Taak is YASIRTAAK, and DM me, and I'm there, right? And all my details are on LinkedIn as well, right? You
You
you could.
also have a Facebook account.
I have a Facebook account. Yes, I'm on all platforms. So
All right.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well.
Oh!
Yes. So you
Post
can
your TikTok moves or your dance on LinkedIn so we can see it all.
sure, definitely I'll do that. I will do that. So yeah, you
Thank
can
you
you
so
can search for
much.
Yasir Taak and I'll pop up and you can get in touch with me. Message me anywhere on those
All right.
platforms.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
very much,
Yasir. We hope
Yasir.
to see you
Thanks,
again.
Giselle.
Get in
Thank you
touch.
so much, Giselle.
Bye
Take
bye.
care. Have a great weekend.
Yes, it
Bye.
has been a pleasure talking to you.
Bye bye.
Stay
Likewise.
safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, I'd like to thank again Yasir for this insightful discussion. Indeed, diversity is something challenging but quite rewarding to manage in the
Agree.
workplace.
Agree, partner. And if I may just give this final quote from an American religious leader, his name is William Sloane Coffin. According to him, diversity may be the hardest thing for a society to live with. and perhaps the most dangerous thing for society to be without. We all know this, that in any society or organization, managing diversity is one of the most crucial, if not challenging, roles to have. And as HR and OD, personally, we've experienced this.
Mhm.
Managing diversity is something that you always have to take into consideration when you're deciding people development strategy or people intervention. And even if it's challenging, it's something that is important. That's really important. That's why you have to manage it. If without that, probably we'll all do the same thing. For example, if the ideal job in an organization is to do strategy or to do planning, then everybody will just do it. Nobody will be doing the
Other.
administrative or the
Mhm.
clerical functions, which are also equally important in different capacities. So
Yes.
that's how important diversity is, because we are all performing based on our competencies, our skills, talents, and our purpose in life. So with that, we would like to thank you for joining us in our first Saturday episode of Asia Leaders Worldwide, which is Spotlight. Join us again next month. This is your Asia leader, Giselle
And
Legaspi-Barrion.
this is Ryan Marion,
And
and
we
this is
are
HR
HR
Leaders
Leaders
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
Bye bye.